Alrighty, guys. Thanks for checking us out again. So this time around, we're going to be talking about what happened with our investigation at Jay's property, the contacts we set up through Jay, and everything that became of that, and what we're still setting up. We're going to be discussing the recent anniversary of the Patterson Gimlet footage. We're going to delve a little bit more into that. From there, going to Dylan's trip he had with his brother. They went all over the fucking country. And then made some new contacts in kind of the, I don't know what you want to call it, the ghosty, occultish kind of esoteric realm. And we're just going to kind of jump around here a little bit. We didn't want to keep it all Bigfoot related, and we just want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, keep it interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just to lead off the whole event of the Jay's property thing, we talked about that on the last podcast. We had the video call with him. We had, everything setting up, everything rolling, and we actually got out there. And so, nothing crazy went down, but we had some good times. Good times, had some beers, had a fire, and actually learned a little bit and got kind of more involved in actually finding out really what we're getting into this time around. Yeah. So, what did you guys? What was your guys' thoughts on going out there? Because it was the first time you guys met Jay. You went out to his place. Nick was fucking late, so he didn't get to shoot guns. But
we did. We shot some guns. We had some fun. Jay is a super nice guy, and you've been on plenty of Bigfoot excursions, if you will. But this was like my first. This was my induction into Bigfoot hunting.
It's pretty fucking boring, ain't it?
And it wasn't like it wasn't a proper hunt. I mean, we weren't going around the woods looking for a Bigfoot. But really, I think the core of the reason we went out there was just to meet Jay and hear his stories. Yeah. And I think we left our last podcast off on a cliffhanger because Jay said he had a couple stories that he was saving until we went out there.
I forgot.
Yeah. And so we're out there, and he shows us this video from the edge of his property. And I can't remember the context of when it was or how long ago. I
think he said it was. I don't remember the context of when. Mm-hmm. From years wise, months wise, but I know it was on the, if you're looking at his house, it would have been on the left side of his property in the tree line. And we went over there and just the height and everything. And in the video itself, I think he said he was going to give, if he could send us the video. He's going to hook us up with the video. So we're going to have the footage in our documentary when that finally hits for the Bigfoot documentary.
We'll probably put it on social too before.
Yeah, we could probably throw it up on social, drum up some stuff. But the video itself, I mean, people are gonna no matter what be like, oh, it could be this, could be that. But when you're there at the actual site where it happened and you see the tree and stuff, you're like, oh shit, you're you see it totally differently.
Exactly. Right, and what really got me is at first it kind of looks like that one light. And then he gets that zoom on it, and you see it, you really clearly see it break into two eyes.
Yeah. And then
you see them blink.
You see the blink,
twice. Yeah. And it actually looks like an eyelid going down and going back up. It's not like a flicker. Yeah. It looks like a legitimate blink.
Yeah, when he first showed it to us, because I guess he's and he's self-admittedly, he said he's not a tech savvy guy or whatever, but he shot on an iPad or something.
It was filmed on their their iPad, I think.
Yeah,
their son's iPad,
camera. Yeah. So he's at first he's struggling to figure out the zoom or whatever.
No, he's filmed on his son's phone. And then they transferred to the iPad. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So he's just like you said, a solid light. Just a ball of light. And then I'm like, oh, cool footage, Jay, Yeah. And then he's like, and wait for it, and then he zooms in, and it's very, very clearly a biopic.
Yeah, set of
eyes. It's the nocturnal animal, two eyes. And they blink. They visibly blink.
So. The only thing that got me is a lot of people report that, what was he saying, red to orange eye shine. Orange. This to me, what I saw in that video was more like the eye shine that I had seen at that previous property where I'd say it was swaying. That it's a yellowed eye shine, which is extremely common in all other nocturnal animals. So, I mean, could there be the orange? Could there be the red? Sure, whatever,
It could also be sort of like they could have different color eyes too.
I mean, you can delve into you can delve into the science into that, and I'm sure there's explanations for it. But just from what I had encountered before, from what I had seen before myself, no video evidence to back it, but his video evidence is almost exactly what I saw. So
You
that
think
was cool.
Yeah, the color of the light shining into their eye would be what
what was
color.
reflected. Yeah.
So,
So
like
when
if he has
there's,
a lot
you
of
know,
sodium lights on his property, which are an orange light, it's
Yeah.
going to show orange or whatever. So.
Or in those reports, like people are sitting around a fire and it's coming in to check them
Oh
out.
yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
that.
So like
Yeah.
when the fire reflects, that's going to be that warm light
Yep.
that'll give off that reddish orangish tint.
For sure.
But other than that, one of the cool instances was kind of like really early on in the night. Was we his wife had made us some food.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was delicious.
Yeah, it was.
And from there we left the house and we're walking back. We had a little fire going in the fire pit and stuff. We're hanging out by kind of in the middle of his property, I guess you could say. And we're heading back. And me and Dylan are kind of walking next to each other. I think Jay's on our right. And I'm kind of closest to the wood line. And all of a sudden I heard, like, very distinctly from right at the edge of the woods, a growl, like a straight up kind of
Yeah, I think
weird
we all
growl.
kinda
And
heard
I reacted to it. And Dylan's like, oh, he as soon as he looked at me, oh, here we fucking go, man.
Yeah,
Fucking Bigfoot. And I'm like, no, dude. And then, like, just a couple seconds later, everyone else heard it. So that was another weird. We heard some like weird, some like little whistling shit. Kind of, where was that happening? Back.
There was a lot of
It was
strange
like in the
sounds out
back
there.
corner. There was like that weird whistling, and then there was the other whistling that was like definitely like a bird.
Yeah.
That kept circling around us, but it I have no idea what kind of bird it was.
Yeah, we didn't really have anything that I would classify as, oh, that's
sure.
Bigfoot. But the growl was fucking weird, and that wasn't really. At first, we mentioned it to Jay, and he was like, "Oh, there's a barn with like a donkey and some other shit over there in that other field." And then he heard the sound. I think like the second or third time it happened, and he was like, "Oh shit, that's way closer than."
Yeah, it sounded like it was in the tree line.
Yeah, it sounded like whatever it was in the trees.
Right.
But
And it could have
to
been
me,
a
it
million
sounded
things.
more. It sounded more canine than
Yeah, I think
anything.
so.
So chalked it up for what it is.
Which, we referenced the video, and you could say, oh, that's a coyote in the video, but the eyes were 6 feet off the ground.
Yeah, at least, yes.
At least.
Yeah,
it was really
minimum,
tall.
6 foot minimum. But
But yeah, one thing is like a lot of times out in the country, you have farm animals, and a lot of people that aren't like familiar with the sounds those animals make might get really spooked.
oh, especially a donkey, dude.
Donkeys
yeah.
are haunting. They make the
Don-
weirdest.
donkeys
fucking
will
noises.
scare the fuck out of you.
They don't only make that like one cartoon
It's not just
sound
hee-haw.
that you hear.
They almost sound fucking prehistoric. Some of the sounds they make, you're
Yeah.
like, what
Right.
the fuck? You're expecting fucking Jeff
not a
Goldblum to come
Bigfoot.
running out of the
It's a
woods.
velociraptor.
Yeah. Crazy shit.
There's a velociraptor cryptid somewhere. There's definitely some dinosaurs out there still.
somewhere.
But
Nessie.
we did the wood knock stuff. We didn't have any responses from that. We broke Jay's baseball bat. Sorry, Jay.
Yeah.
We'll get you another one.
We'll crowdsource.
Yeah, we're
A
gonna start
little
we're
slugger.
gonna start a
We'll get you
Jay's
good
new bat
Negan one, too.
GoFundMe.
We'll even put a chain and some nails through it.
Yeah, we'll set you up.
We'll get you. What's that one from Walking Dead? The one with the nails in it.
Yeah,
Negan's
the Negan
one.
bat.
Negan's-
But what does
yeah,
he?
yeah.
What does he call it? He has a name for it.
Is it Lucille?
Lucille.
Yeah.
God, I
Lucille.
stopped watching that show. Ugh. But anyway,
Stuck in the tree.
so but from so we had the video that's going to be linked. We're going to get that stuff rolling. Mm-hmm. But just from him, when we were out there, he started talking. Like we brought up the East Fork thing to him because he was saying like as the crow flies, it's only like what he said, like
He
five.
said if you could drive as the crow flies, it would be 5 minutes.
Yeah, so super close to East Fork, and to me, like I know, like I feel like I keep bringing East Fork up, but to me, that is the kind of like a pivotal point for that area because you have the water source, you have crazy amount of deer and wildlife out there,
Yeah, right.
And how he was explaining his property was, oh, yeah, berries grow here, and he's got a fucking pond in his backyard and everything else. So like,
Right.
the food is there, the resources are there, and if he's that close to that area, everything's moving around through that area. There's all those little kind of highways of trees and patches and stuff to go through. But so from that the East Fork thing, he actually set us up with this kind of, I don't know how you want to deliver, like a mysterious kind of contact.
I mean, he was. I did call this. Jay gave us a couple contacts, and one of them was a guy that you actually are familiar with, but the other guy who chooses to remain anonymous and has a connection with that area. He was very concerned about his privacy, and I understand
Which
that.
we respect.
You know, totally. And he had some stories that we're looking into. Nothing that sounded overtly like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot.
Kind of in a different realm.
So it's a little bit different. And I'm not going to get too much into that because he did request that we respect his privacy. So
Yeah, but I mean,
I guess we'll just leave that contact there. But the other contact is someone who you worked with before, right?
I mean, I don't want to say worked with, but like met him through the group, through Ohio Bigfoot. So me and another member of Ohio Bigfoot, this was a couple years back, at least 4 or 5 years ago. There's a big annual conference that goes on out in Central Ohio called Salt Fork. It's at Salt Fork State Park, and I think it's called the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. I think that's what it's called. But I mean, everyone from all walks of life come in there. You got everyday people, but then they bring in the speakers, Meldrum, all the big people. And the year I went, I don't think Meldrum wasn't there, but you had like Sarmiento, Gimlin was there, and just a bunch of other kind of bigger names from the field. If you've watched enough documentaries in the Bigfoot kind of realm, you would recognize you might not recognize their names, but you'd recognize the faces. But
certainly the footage.
Yeah, certainly the footage. But I recommend going to that for everybody if you're even the smallest bit interested in this stuff, like in the Bigfoot kind of realm of things. But so we got there, and I don't know how he knew like our whole group. I can't remember like the details, but I was introduced to a guy named Jody, and Jody, he's avid kind of investigator, researcher of I think other cryptids, but mainly kind of Bigfoot related. He actually has authored a couple books with it. I own at least one of them, I think. That's one I've been trying to find. But we got kind of set up with him and talk with him a little bit way back then, and nothing really ever came of that back in the day. But recently, Jay told us, he goes, "Hey, you need to reach back out to him, because that guy is the wealth of knowledge. I mean, he's fucking wrote books on the stuff."
Yeah,
so,
I messaged him. That's as far as I got. I've been pretty busy this last week, but I messaged him. I said, "Hey, Jody, this is Dale and Meek. We're doing some documentary films on Bigfoot in the Southern Ohio, Brown County area, and I was just wondering if you had any stories to share." And he said, "I've been researching Bigfoot for 30 years."
I got fucking stories, dude.
I mean, that wasn't the tone of his message, but essentially he was just saying, like, I can tell you some
Listen
stuff.
here, youngin'.
Yeah, he's got it. Yeah. So, I will definitely be reaching out to him.
I think for him, like, he is, we're kind of like moving this, like, in, we're going from one stone to the next, jumping, and like Jay is still going to stay pivotal, I think, to what we're doing in that area. But, from there, we're going to hit Jody, and then from there, who knows what. And then we still we're still looking into like your father-in-law's neck of the woods down in Daniel.
Yeah,
Boone,
I mean, that's a
shit.
little bit
So
outside of like what we originally thought.
But dude, if we're
was,
but fuck it,
yeah,
man.
why not?
We want to get out in the
It's
field.
still Kentucky.
It's close.
only a couple
throw a
hours.
rock and hit it.
It's
Man.
still like
West
hop
Liberty.
in the car and head over.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, in the Midwest, like if you grew up in the Midwest, it's like, oh, it's only 13 hours. I'll just drive. But I mean, it's like a really comfortable drive out.
It's
not.
It
that
backs
bad.
up like literally my father-in-law's property is in West Liberty, Kentucky, outside of Moorhead, Kentucky, and his property backs up to a cliff, and then at the bottom of the cliff is Daniel Boone National Forest. And if you follow the road that my father-in-law's house is on, if you follow that road down, there's signs on the side of the road that say "Watch for Bigfoot," and like it's sort of like a local legend in that area. Like,
Daniel
people
Boone's
know,
right, dude.
Yeah, people know that there's something out there. That's a lot. That's a lot of territory out there.
Yeah.
Daniel Boone's huge. I don't know how many acres that is, but
Yeah, I'm
totally
not sure.
massive. But
You know,
that's
but,
definitely something to check out.
We're going with that, but for right now, the focus for us is going to be on really establishing this Jody connection and seeing where that takes us. As far as I feel that's kind of the next step. We really we're kind of taking this in steps until we can. I want to be able to trust ourselves to do some type of like investigation, or that actually get out in the woods and actually do something wood oriented. Because I mean, Jay's had some woodland, but that was more like you said, more meeting Jay, more
Right.
Getting footage with him and hearing his stories and stuff. So we're slowly stepping the way into kind of really getting some out in the bush footage,
Yeah, for sure.
and doing that stuff. So that's going to come. But so next up, I don't know how many. I'm sure everyone's kind of, if you're listening to this shit, you're more than familiar with it. The Patterson Gimlet footage just had its
56th anniversary.
56th anniversary.
5-6.
So, and big guy over here was doing some delving and found out a bunch of cool little info about that. We did a small little snippet on Facebook we put up about that. So
just a little like shout out to the fact that this week marked the 56 years. We kind of went over Bob.
Gimlin?
Bob Gimlin.
Oh, the other Hieronymus.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hieronymus,
say his name. What a
who claims to be the man in the
That's an
suit.
interesting name.
Like, claims that he's that figure depicted.
Which is the weirdest thing, because in the video you posted, and that's also a relatively famous video, is Bob Hieronymus sitting down with like Dateline or
It was
some reputable
national
name.
televised
yeah,
thing.
and he sat down with a polygraph professional,
Right.
and during a polygraph test said he was the man in the suit in the Patterson Gimlin footage. But then conversely, you had, was it Patterson also took a polygraph test?
So I did, while I was doing my research into that and kind of like looking into what people are thinking about that, about the fact that he passed the polygraph, the major argument against it was that Patterson himself had taken a polygraph and passed, swearing upon the authenticity of the video.
Whoa.
So you kind of got the tale of both. To me, it kind of, with having both of those in mind, I can't say one way or the other.
Yeah.
It'd be different if there was just one there. It would probably sway me more.
To me, the only thing, like, because I spoke very briefly with Bob Gimlin. You know, he has his own little entourage when he goes out, and he's an old dude. And you can tell he's tired of the shit. But he when you talk to him, he's that kind of guy that's like he's told this story 1,000 times.
Sure.
And he's sticking to his guns. He's like,
Right.
This is what happened. This is how it happened. And the video, I feel like, paints a different picture than people think. Like, those guys, that was an oh shit moment. You know,
Right.
so Bob Gimlin was still up on his horse. Gimlin had to jump off his horse, I think injuring his ankle in the process, and like ran out into the creek bed to get a picture. This was a very spur of the moment, not choreographed shot, because I mean, the original footage, the link we posted was of a stabilized shot. The original footage is, you could tell it's all over the board.
Oh, I didn't know that. It was
So
stabilized.
So the one that I did, it was slowed down, stabilized. Well, the first one I did was at normal speed. And then towards the end of the video, there's one where you kind of slow it down so you can get a better look at that figure.
What were they doing out there?
They, from what I can remember, they had found tracks like the day before. Mm-hmm. They had found evidence that something was moving through that creek bed, through Bluff Creek.
Were they hunting other animals?
No,
Or
I think it was
Bigfoot
just
prints?
specifically for them going out there to do that.
Oh, okay.
And so they were out there the two guys out on horseback, and they're coming back into the area. The horse is spooked, and and they spooked at whatever they saw in the creek, and then he jumps off the horse. So Gimlin, Patterson's, he's passed away. So Gimlin's the only real person other than what's his name? Hieronymus.
Yeah.
Other than Harambe is the only the only other guy that can I guess speak to the validity of it. But Gimlin, he had that kind of off to the side view. He watched the whole thing. So hearing it from him, but like the video we posted, the only thing that could it be fake? Yes. Absolutely could be fake. But we gotta remember the time this video was fucking made, man.
Yeah.
Like,
It
you're
was really
talking
the first famous Bigfoot.
Yeah, but you're talking in the 60s, limited technology, limited everything.
Right.
And somehow that they were able to do the musculature and everything. And I don't want to speak to Hieronymus guy, whatever, I don't know what kind of physique he was in back in the day.
Sure.
But that thing was fucking ripped up.
Mm-hmm.
And to make something like that, man, I don't fucking buy it.
I've seen some analysis of the footage, and people say you can see individual muscle groups.
You can see definition under the hair,
thing,
man.
So
I don't know, but anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with that, and we keep going back to that. We're gonna have to. I want to link some of the other really good ones on the page. There's a bunch of other good videos that I'm gonna do some digging for everybody, and we'll post them up and little snippets and shit.
Or we want to do a reaction video, right? Because I haven't seen most of these.
Yeah. We're gonna
I certainly haven't seen them with you having a little bit of backstory to them.
Well, shit, we can hit that one coming up here then. Probably sometime this week or this weekend, whatever. Yeah, this weekend. Okay. We'll get a reaction video up, and that way you guys can check out some good what we think would be good clips, good things to just kind of conversation starters.
We can sneak
Something
Jay's into there.
But also you get to watch the clips with someone who might look at them from a different perspective.
Absolutely.
Instead of just watching them by yourself and be like, huh, That's a suit.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
That's what it's all about.
But a different flavor to it.
So, we don't want to burn you guys out with the whole Bigfoot thing.
We have hit Bigfoot hard.
Yeah, we've hit it hard.
Yeah.
We've hit it hard, but that was kind of our first little jumping point. But, Dylan has recently taken on an adventure.
I went on an excursion.
He went on a...
And this is also outside of our area of operations here in Southern
Still,
Ohio.
fuck it, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I sidebar. I started a new job on Monday, and so this week's been like a little mini vacation for me and my brother. My brother took actual vacation. So we started. We left Ohio, and we went straight east over to West Virginia into Point Pleasant, which has been sort of a bucket list thing for me now. So we went into Point Pleasant, which is not far at all. It's like a ridiculous thing that I haven't already been there.
He's got all this fucking cool artwork now.
Yeah, we have some stuff.
He brought back some cool posters.
So we roll into Point Pleasant, and we didn't really plan anything. We just we're gonna go there, and we're gonna figure out what to do once we get there.
And one of the artworks just fell.
Well, there you go.
Well, I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm gonna say something.
Well, that's how I was
blame it
going
on
to get
something.
there.
You can fucking blame it on something.
So we get to Point Pleasant, and we go over a bridge, and I was like, I wonder if this is the Silver Bridge. And if you've seen Mothman Prophecies, you know what the
Or if
Silver
you've
Bridge
read
is.
even about the incident.
Yeah, if you had know anything about Mothman in that area, for sure, the Silver Bridge is a critical part of that story. And
people
so
fucking died. That was a while back too.
it's 46 people died.
Yeah,
when
died,
Silver Bridge collapsed. But we're rolling into town, and we go over this bridge, and we eat at the first Bob Evans, which is a
God, really moving up in the world.
Yeah. And then right behind the restaurant, coincidentally, is the Silver Bridge, and we go up under it, and we're just kind of poking around, and it looks like people have been down there, and a little bit of vandalism here and there. But I did find a little
trinket.
And I can't conclusively say it was part of.
It's a real fucking
the Silver
corroded
Bridge.
old bolt, dude.
But I'm pretty sure they put the new bridge in the place of the old one, and
we didn't steal it. We're borrowing it. We'll take it back.
yeah, it's going to return it to sender eventually.
So you said the Bob Evans is right next to the bridge.
Yeah, it's in
There's
Gallipoli.
there's got to be a connection there. What if Bob Evan himself did it?
Bob Evans.
We're gonna get to the fucking bottom of this.
But yeah, so I found this little rusty bolt that was under the bridge, and
So-
the bridge collapsed. What is that? In the 60s. So that was a super long time
Dylan
ago. Or 70s.
inadvertently is going to bring a whole bunch of fucking weird shit onto us now.
Yep. So we have a piece of Silver Bridge, but it didn't stop there. So we went to the Mothman Museum, and that was super cool, and everyone should go. Some interesting stuff in there. They had all the newspaper clippings, not just from Point Pleasant, but I guess that was sort of a national phenomenon at the time. Everyone was
there were
talking about it.
sightings in Kentucky and Ohio and everything, weren't there?
I don't know about other sightings. I'm talking about people reporting about the stuff that was happening in West Virginia.
Reporting about the bridge
Right.
collapse.
There was
Okay,
international
okay.
stuff too.
Okay.
There was a British newspaper talking about
'Cause that's a
Mothman.
big fucking deal, dude. When a bridge gives the fuck out and people
this was
die, that's
prior to the bridge. This is just when the
some
sightings
people.
were.
just
No, so
Mothman.
you're saying people were reporting on Mothman itself?
And I learned about obviously John Keel is really intertwined with the Mothman story, and he's the one who wrote the Mothman Prophecies. But he spent years in Point Pleasant researching the Mothman, and I learned that he coined the term "Men in Black."
Dude, that's a whole.
That's
That's a whole nother fucking thing.
There's a
dude.
picture.
There, yeah.
There's a
I've
picture.
seen. I've watched my fucking videos. It's scary.
It's
it's
freaky.
scary how when we think of Men in Black, we think of Tommy Lee Jones and fucking
Will
Will Smith fucking up some aliens. That's what we like to think. We think comedy, but that shit's no joke, dude. There are straight up fucking sunglasses, Men in Black suits, fucking hats and shit.
Well, it was
in
such
these
a-
little
Always have
podunk
those hats.
Yeah, in these podunk little fucking towns for no reason. And people always
Right.
man, they looked at a place, they were
Driving
oddly
Cadillacs,
oddly
right,
quiet,
on
asking weird
Continentals.
questions and shit.
Well, there's a picture in the Mothman Museum of one of the Men in Black, and he's just leaned up against the wall, like James Deaning, just looking real spooky.
Just a real cool guy.
But anytime there's a big event in an area, it's going to draw some government attention. I can understand there's a logical argument why those people would be there.
Yeah.
But everyone sort of describes them as being I don't know, not just Men in Black, but
some kind of
alien.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts about that.
We can dabble into that all day long, but
one thing's interesting about that area, though, and there would be a government interest in the area because
absolutely.
Of the TNT area, which is like supposedly where the Mothman's from, where he,
That's where
that's
the
where
one
he lived.
resides.
But the one famous sighting was
The two first sightings
of
Mothman, I believe, were in the TNT area. So me and my brother also went out there and checked out the TNT domes, and which was an interesting experience too, because just trying to find them is kind of a chore. Like, there's nothing that says like TNT dome this way. You have to either ask around or check Reddit or whatever. I think we just ended up just serendipitously like finding a place to pull off, and we found a trail that wasn't marked, and we're like, this probably leads to one.
This will do it.
So we went back there. It was really cool, man. Natural acoustics inside those domes.
So yeah, I want to fucking go there, dude.
wild.
See, that's the thing, and like the Mothman shit, like has really died. Like it's really died down. Like I mean, I'm sure if we looked into it, we would find some reports here and there, but it seems to be, something tells me like around like any kind of tragedy thing, like they are kind of like Mothman sightings seem to like forewarn, kind of tragedies happening and weird shit going on. So, I don't. Mothman's kind of that weird thing where it's a thing everyone knows about, everyone's heard of, but it's really kind of fallen out of the
public eye.
Whole kind of I mean, it's still heavily involved in the cryptid realm,
right?
But it's kind of one of those things
ones.
That's not really. It's like the fucking Loveland Frogman, dude.
yeah.
Not that bad.
It's a weird one, and that's the thing is
is it an alien? Is it a cryptid? What side does it fall on? To me, in my opinion, I think it falls more on the extraterrestrial.
One of the
realm.
things that John Keel, who wrote the Mothman Prophecies, talks about is this idea that all cryptids and paranormal stuff is under one unified theory. So it's like they're all the same thing, but it's presenting itself
in different realms.
He calls them ultra-terrestrials, which I don't know about that.
So, like, I don't know. You kind of that whole thing kind of loses me a little bit.
Should I take this call? It's Jefferson talking about his uncle.
It's up to you, bro.
We'll save it for later.
It's up to you,
I'll
bro.
call him back.
Yeah, we'll call.
That's
a
a
whole
contact.
nother. Yeah, that's another. That's another contact. But we're gonna. That's actually the lead kind of into the whole Bobby Mackey's kind of thing,
Yeah.
We're gonna bring that up again. That's we're gonna beat a lot of fucking dead horses on this show. So
Oh yeah.
we're gonna fuck up some dead horses.
Well, I mean, after I left the Mothman thing, though, I went over to Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Saw some ghosts over there. Well, I didn't see any, but
you saw Steve? Was it Steve Buscemi?
well, he's alive, so
But that motherfucker kind
That
of
would
looks like
be a
a
weird
ghost.
ghost to see.
Kind of looks like a ghost, man.
he does have a
Just
ghost.
have,
got
like,
a
those
he's got
sunken
a
eyes.
spectre kind of fucking looked him, didn't he?
He's a pale man. But yeah, we
It's a
went to
fucking
Eastern
ghost.
State Penitentiary in Philadelphia.
Dun, dun, dun.
Might be haunted. I was with a tour group of like 1,000 people, so it wasn't a real spooky experience or anything. Took a guided tour. It's a very interesting building, and there is a part where they talk about paranormal stuff in the tour.
So what, like, how kind of paint a picture for us? Because like I've never fucking been. I don't think. I don't think Nick's been. So like, is it?
I'd like to.
Is it as fucking massive as it
Well,
kind of looks?
So I'll give you the context of like how they started the tour, right? So you come into the building, which looks like a medieval castle.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird because it's medieval architecture inside of a modern city. And I was like, this is odd. Even for like, because there's old buildings in the United States from like the 1600s, but even for that, it looks out of place.
Yeah.
And so you learn about it. The architect made it look like that intentionally. And he was a British guy.
He wanted this
the architect.
foreboding kind of fucking
Right.
crazy
Because they
shit.
wanted people to be afraid to go to Eastern State Penitentiary. And they should have been because that's where they invented solitary confinement.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure they had solitary confinement before, but this is where they really
refined
implemented it.
They refined
They called it
it.
the Pennsylvania system.
Ooh.
And so it was 8x12 cell, which is a roomy cell. As far as prison cells go. Windowless,
Yeah.
except for a little slit of light in the top. And this is the original. It should still be recording. The screen's probably off. Just press the shutter button.
So like with
I'll press record again. It hit the recording limit. There we go.
So like with that stuff though, I like even from what I've like heard, even like inmates had reported fucking crazy shit there, like strange shit.
So
like, that place has a history of
right. You have to think it's been there since the. Did I say 1600s? I meant
No, it's been
1800s.
Yeah,
It's been there since the 1800s.
Fucking know, yeah.
So there's been different generations of people that have passed through that.
And some like
prison.
duper fucked up shit took place in that place.
Well, like originally, there was no such thing as a life sentence. It was you got executed, or you did your time at one prison and you left.
Jesus.
Because so some of these people were in solitary confinement for so long that they go crazy, which doesn't take long.
Yeah, it'll mentally fuck you up.
Anything over 15 days is considered like
inhumane,
torturous, and whatever. But yeah, it was weird just to hear about that Pennsylvania system. And later on, it became more of a modern prison until it got like shuttered.
Isn't that the one with the like biggest freestanding? Am I confusing that and another one? Like the tallest freestanding cell structure or some shit like that, or is that something else?
I don't think it's the tallest because the tallest.
No, what am I? I'm confusing.
Floor, it's only 2 floors even at its highest.
Is that the Ohio Reform? I don't know. There's something I might be confusing with, but anyway, that building looks fucking crazy.
It's real fucking creepy, even with all the tour group there.
So
I'd like to go investigate that place, but I can imagine that being sort of impossible with how popular it is.
And especially like I don't want to say the problem we're hitting, but the thing we're trying to kind of overcome is you get into this stuff and you realize like you're like, oh fuck, we got to get into these fucking places. And like people, you see all these TV shows like fucking Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, all this stuff where they seem to walk right in, like they're on first name basis with these people.
Walk right in with a briefcase full of money.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, that's the thing is, so we're really trying to get we want to bring you guys some cool shit and really get some filming done like in these places, but setting it all up is a bear in and of itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's coming. We're slowly getting the ball rolling with that. And what we're finding out is it's really who the hell you know. And who can, and that's, kind of where that phone call that Dylan got came in. We're trying to find those kind of like backdoor ways into places. Oh, he knows her and she knows him and yada, yada, yada. And that's another thing. So I was recently just given a kind of a contact and, the person seems to be pretty heavily involved in paranormal stuff and involved in, I don't know what you could call, like what you called it, like the kind of esoteric kind of faiths and a cult, whatever you want to label it as, a cult, whatever you want to throw a label to that. But from that, like we're really, the ghost stuff seems to be, it's such a bigger realm than Bigfoot, which in my opinion almost makes it harder to start because it's like, you're getting into Bigfoot. How do you fucking look for Bigfoot? Oh, you're going to the fucking woods.
Right.
End. You know what I mean? That's it. With the ghost shit, it's like, oh man, there's all these buildings that like, oh, there's the Sadamsville Rectory, there's this. But then, we have all these iconic names in our head, but getting into those iconic places is
heavy,
totally something totally different. It ain't like you can just call someone up and be like, let me in. And they're like, here's the keys, dude. No, that doesn't fucking happen. So, but I think what we should start with is like really, I got a friend who they think their place, it was an old Mennonite house and they're doing some
spooky.
Mennonites are their own thing. Don't fuck with them though. Don't go picking fights with the Mennonites. But so they're doing some work on their house and stuff, but they've had like some reports and stuff. So I think that's where we're really going to kind of get our feet wet, is really going into the kind of total under the radar places, people's homes, really, if nothing else, or locations that are said to be haunted. Because we took our little fucking venture to Lick Road, and it's fucking Lick Road around here. No one, if you don't know, if you're watching, or listening to this, and you're not from the area, Lick Road is this very kind of local folkloric thing of like, oh, this.
It's a dead end road.
Yeah, it's a dead end road with a bridge, and this girl was either committed suicide or was murdered on the bridge, and there's 100 different variations of the same story, what was the name? We saw was like
Amy, but it was spelled spookily.
Yeah, it was
If that's a word, I'm coining it right now. Spookily.
Spookily.
Trademarked.
2 E's. Because it's a ghost, Amy.
So there's these locations that are kind of under the radar. We could start with those. I really want to check out the bridge thing that you guys are talking about. I really want to do. Yeah, I really want to do Stone Lick because I've never been. Is that fucking Satan's church thing on like private property?
It's
or
more of an urban legend than it is, I think, any kind of reputable tale.
Yeah, see now, like when I was a teenager, me and a friend, like we went back to where this supposed satanic temple, I guess you would call it, is.
What the fuck were you doing there, Nick?
Being a
we
teenager.
were trying to see if it was real. Mostly being a teenager, yeah. So what's weird about it is a lot of people think it's this. There's this like super old, not quite cathedral style, but a little bit of that similar architecture.
And if you
right
look at
next
it's
to
like
it,
an Episcopal church or something.
Right,
If you
right.
look at it with during the
Well,
day.
The most
That's-
uncreepy faith.
well, that's what everyone thinks is it. But like when we heard about the folklore is that you go past that church and there's this private drive that goes down there. Mm-hmm. And on down that private drive in this barn is where it's supposed to be. So we had went down and we stayed in the tree lines, just kind of walking, like trying to be all sneaky. We parked our cars there next to the church. Next thing you know, like you see this giant lifted truck, like lights come on. And that's when we bolt and we hop in our car and like take off. And this was in the Cougar.
So wait, you got fucking chased
we
out
got
of the place?
chased out of there.
You got chased by a truck too.
Yeah, the
Right.
fucking we made that joke in like the first podcast about
Yeah.
like people in their fucking black robes and their brand new fucking New Balances chucking after you. You know?
Right. So like really what it probably is
The New
these
Balances.
these people probably
Every
own
cult
it.
has New Balances, dude. Have you read that? Like, is there like a shoot? Like, is there like a mail order like suit you can get for like some occult shit?
There's a discount.
Probably.
Yeah, is there like a
New Balance cult discount?
Yeah, see, type that in. We're gonna put a link down in the description. but see, like, well, with my church, because that's fucking hilarious though.
Right.
Is we were at Lake Road and got chased out by. We went to the wrong fucking bridge, but we got chased out by a fucking truck, chased all the way back to the main road. You know, so like. I think what it is, these people are just fucking sick of
People trespassing.
Right.
people like
That's what I was about to
15-year-old
say.
kids going
It's
back there
gotta be
and
a
fucking
nightly
around.
occurrence.
Always teenage. Like when you went back, were you a teenager? Close enough.
Yeah, like 17. Yeah, 17. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had to
right.
think back. Yeah, like 17, 18.
Because when you're young, you're dumb enough to be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go back here. What's the worst that could happen?"
See,
Well,
when we went back, like we just kind of fucked. I was more or less just showing Dylan and Nick, like, hey, here's kind of like just the area. You know, I don't want them to like have anything too built up in their head about what this spot is because it is very. I mean, it's kind of creepy, I guess you could say, but there's nothing to me, nothing remotely spooky about it. So there's that. But the big, I think the biggest location for us that is well within our grasp is Bobby Mackey's. Like we can, that is
for sure.
That is, I don't want to say easily doable, but very doable.
Yeah.
Especially for like the whole kind of lockdown thing. The only thing that they want money,
Right.
and we're willing to fucking fork it over to get in the place.
It's just an odd time right now because, well, we happen to start a paranormal podcast in October, which is
during a pandemic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, during a pandemic
Odds
in
are stacked
October.
against us. But I mean, that's what that phone call that I just received was from a contact that it's my friend Jeff. Shout out to Jeff, Jefferson Shaw. His uncle was friends with Bobby Mackey, so hopefully that can lead somewhere. But I can just imagine. I mean, every night there has to be booked right now.
Oh, yeah.
for October. It's such a spooky place.
No.
Kind of whenever the fuck we get into that place is really going to be good because like when I didn't do the lock in, but I think back, this was fucking years ago. I don't even think I'd met my wife by then. So you're talking over 10 years ago I was there. They were doing like these kind of like extended tours, and I don't know if they gave us an extended tour because it was just a dead fucking night. We were bored as shit, cruised downtown, and I was talking to my like Alex and them, people you don't know, but Dylan knows them, about just kind of weird shit around the city. We were just bored as fuck cruising around, And I'm like, fuck, man, Bobby Mackey's is right down here. And they're like, oh, let's go fucking check it out. And it's a little honky tonk bar and shit. So we cruised on over, and as soon as you walk in, they're like, hey, we're doing these tours and shit like that. It was getting towards, like, I guess the end of the night for the tours specifically. So it was just me, the tour guide, and 3 of my buddies. So there was, fucking 5 people. And he was like, hey, this is the last one of the night. No one's really shown up. So, I mean, we can, like, take a little bit longer. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not fucking complaining. And so, you go down. The tour we did was just strictly basement, because this thing's got 3 floors to it. You got, like, the main kind of bar area with the little stage and all the other shit. You have the basement, which is like a fucking dungeonous looking fucking basement, not finished.
Pictures of how
not
creepy the
finished in
basement is.
any way. I mean, it has little finished rooms inside of it, I guess, which they claim, I've heard were the like dressing rooms. Yeah, for back in the day when there was dancers and shit. And then up the third floor, I don't even know if you can call it like a full third. It's like a partial third floor, is like a kind of small, like, living quarters, like an apartment
it looks
above.
like a little tiny, like, maybe 1 bedroom. It's like a 2-room.
Yeah, it's like a little studio apartment above everything. Right. So the tour we did was mainly just, well, it was all just the basement. And you go down, and the basement of that whole place is the only original part of the structure. Yeah. So it used to be, I think, what was it, like a slaughterhouse at one point or something?
Yeah, so at first it was a slaughterhouse, which is kind of where, like, a lot of the mythos with the well down there starts. After it was a slaughterhouse.
That's where the blood, when they slaughtered the hogs, that was where the blood ran through back to Licking Creek.
Yeah. And then after that, it was actually it was like a mob ran speakeasy called the Latin Quarter.
Yep. It's like if you could design a haunted place.
This place had all the fucking ingredients to be haunted. It literally had everything.
Well,
they're like, dude, we slaughter hogs. We
portals.
fucking there's something there, and also the Licking River is one of the only rivers that runs fucking north.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah, it's like there's so many weird things which. I know we've, like, talked about it. We made the post earlier this week about the Legend of the Pearl Bryan murder. Yep. Where a woman was pregnant.
How's her fucking last name spelled?
Literally just like your first name.
All right.
Literally spelled Bryan.
Spookily.
Right. So she's the one where they say is why you need to have a significant other.
And they never found. So she was. So a little bit of the backstory is. I think the story was like her dude and the dude's friend came. She was wanting to get like an abortion done in Cincinnati, wasn't it?
Yeah. So she always wanted to be with him, and he was a family physician. Yeah. And he was trying to make it bigger, so they were getting ready to leave Cincinnati, run off together. Her parents didn't want her to leave with him, but she had gotten pregnant, and he kept refusing to marry her anyway. So she went, and he was going to perform like a backroom abortion on her, basically. And
as one does.
It didn't work. So what ended up happening is when him and his friend said that they were going to run away with Pearl, they ended up killing her after the failed abortion, decapitating her. Her head was thrown down the well.
I never found the head too, right? That was part of the.
I never found out if they actually.
I think that was kind of like the hinge point. It was like,
yeah,
they
found. I was trying to find it. They did have a picture in the newspaper of the body laying there without the head where the guy had found it.
Fucking hell! Wow.
Right. So a guy just randomly walking down there on this path.
On the Licking River.
There's this body laying there without a head. He finds it.
See, I think
the 2 guys were hung, and when they were hung, they said that they would forever haunt that location because for some reason that's like the big threat when you're publicly.
You guys are fucked. I'm gonna turn into a ghost, dude.
Which why not? I mean, honestly, if I were them, dude. I would yell it too. So that way, every time there's a creak in a board, they're like, "Holy fuck, it's that was fucking Nick." Yeah. Nick's here. He's gonna fucking kill us.
They think that's like how you get like unrestful spirits. Like if your body is not kind of laid to rest. If you ain't got all the fucking pieces when you're laid to rest, business. you don't sleep easy. Whatever, right. We don't know. But so you had that fucking horrific event, and then you had the event that Bobby Mackey actually wrote. Bobby Mackey is a local. I don't want to say country legend, local to this area. He's a local country guy.
He did have a song that was on the charts.
Yeah, Joanna. So back when it was this is when it was the Latin Club, correct?
Yeah, when it was the Latin Quarter.
So I think it was the owner's daughter, Joanna, was a worker, was involved there. She fell in love with one of was it one of the workers or one of the patrons or some shit?
Yeah, it was I think it was like a musician or someone who always played there.
She fell in love with,
to refresh my memory, but
she fell in love with some dude there. Her fucking daddy didn't like it. He had the dude killed.
Yep.
And then so she went up into I think they said it's some kind of crawl space above the place and poisoned herself or some shit.
Yeah.
And so that was a tragic. And
I
supposedly
think
she was pregnant too, wasn't she?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that happened at the top of the stairs you would take to get to that little studio apartment. Okay. If I remember right. I could be.
Yeah, we're
you guys
completely
have a
wrong.
much better understanding of how this place is designed. I've never even been there.
I've
never been there.
We're fucking going.
So when
to.
you walk in, there's this bar, right when you walk in, it's this long bar, and then if you go past the bar to the left is a stage. The stairs are right behind the stage to go up to the apartment area. Mm-hmm. And to the right, there's where they have a mechanical bull set up and tons of tables and stuff.
So Dylan's fucking sold, dude.
You said mechanical bull?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm riding.
That ain't the craziest
I'm
thing.
riding.
I do know that there's I wrote this down. There's a sign on the door.
Yep.
It says, "This establishment is reported to be haunted. Management is not responsible and cannot be held liable for any actions of any ghosts / spirits on these premises." Whoa.
So I think half of that is more to build it up, but I think the other half of it is them being hey, we literally ain't, we're not fucking paying for your goddamn camera, dude.
Sure.
If you want to come here and fuck around, it's on you. But
you had an experience there, right?
I had an actually on the tour that we were talking about. We get sidetracked a lot. Fucking deal with it. But yeah. So we were on that tour, and like I said, it was me, the guide, 3 of my buddies, and so we're kind of just fucking around. He's like, "Oh, well, usually I give this guide a tour and kind of read from a script, for lack of a better word." Mm-hmm. He goes, "But I'm about to head home after this, so we can kind of just peruse around." So we're just walking around. We see the little finished dressing rooms, and he was like, "Oh, well, here's where you can kind of smell the." Supposedly Joanna wore rose perfume, and you can still kind of smell it. I didn't fucking smell nothing. Mm-hmm. The rooms are they're a little bit creepy because they're kind of little time. They're kind of left as is, so they're dated. They're weirdly dated rooms, but they're finished, and they're still you can see the mirror and the fucking little lamps and shit. That's a weird kind of thing. But from there, we kind of backed up into the main chunk of the garage, and that was when we're kind of standing back. We're kind of shooting the shit. Might have been fucking smoking a cigarette, taking a break. And one of my buddies was like, "What the fuck was that in the back?" Because in the very back of the garage. And the guide's like, "Did you see something run past the back of the garage?" And he's like, Yeah, I saw something just kind of a quick shadow run across the back. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I saw it too." He goes, "I never see anything on these fucking tours. So that was kind of weird that we both saw the thing." And my buddy described it was just a quick... We weren't moving around that quick. He said it was almost like someone running across the back wall. Right. It's like a shadow that just kind of disappeared. So we took that for a grain of salt. Then from there we went in. I can't remember what the room is. I remember them calling it the room of faces or some shit. And it's this kind of big concrete room, and there's water stains all over the concrete and shit. And it's kind of, what do they call that when you see faces and stuff? They call it something.
There's a psychological.
Yeah, there's a thing where your mind is pretty much trying to make sense. There's a term.
I can't recall it.
But your mind's trying to make sense of this shit. This, it's kind of finding something familiar in the image. So, you're walking in there, some shit looks like faces, some shit just looks creepy, whatever. And he's like, "Oh, the tour guy's like, yeah, they used to do seances in this room, and there used to be a pentagram here, and yada yada," kind of building it up. But he was the only one carrying a fucking light.
Right.
And so he was like, "Well, I'm going to turn the light off." So I'm all right. And we're in a fairly decent sized room at this point. And there's only 5 of us. And we're all pretty spread out in different parts of the room. And he turns the light out. And that was when, I'd never had this feeling before. But that whole place, really, as soon as you walk in, the only way I can describe it is almost like a pressure difference.
Heavy.
Mm-hmm. You could... In the weirdest way I can describe it is when you go underwater, but you're not underwater. It's like, it sounds fucking weird, but that's the only way I can kind of describe it. So we're in that room, and all of a sudden it feels like there's, like, you're fucking packed in there. Like, you ever been to a fucking show and like you're fucking asshole to elbow with everybody, you know, Lamb of God's fucking blaring on the stage. You're living it up. You're double fisting Miller High Lifes. Put yourself there, but take all the fun shit away. Yeah. You know, so that's where I am.
No Miller High Life.
Yeah, no Miller High Lifes, no fucking Lamb of God. And I'm just in this scary little fucking concrete room. And it felt like you were fucking crowded, though. Right. And it was this just eerie feeling, and finally turned the light back on, and it kind of let loose, but that shaking, that feeling was fucking weird.
Like overwhelming.
Yeah, overwhelming. And so from there, we walked back, and he was showing us that little concrete room, and that's where I think that I got fucking scratched. And it's this little tiny creek rock fucking stone room, dude.
I know exactly what room you're talking
about. And we go in there, and it's really only fucking, I mean, Nick's been, it's really only big enough for like one adult to fit in.
It's pretty small. Like,
you could put 2 people in there, but you're squeezing around each other. But we go in there, and I look around. There's nothing to fucking see. It's just a cool little room. So I step out, let everybody else go in. And then, you know, we come back out, and he shows us the well and some other little shit, and we're just walking around. But, like, from that point on, my back was like, the middle of my fucking back was itching. So I just thought my back was, didn't think anything of it. Didn't take it any farther than that. And so we wrap up the tour. Tour guide comes out, smoke no cigarettes, shoot the shit, start heading back home. We're in the car ride home. And to put it in perspective, it's probably, what, a 35-minute car ride.
Yeah. So
we're driving back over the bridge, fucking back's itching, stop, get some booze, back's itching the whole way. And it wasn't like itching to the point where I'm like uncomfortable. It was just every now and then I'm like,
felt like
gotta scratch my fucking back.
Something.
Yeah. So then once I like pulled into my apartment, you know, I come upstairs, you know, we got the beer, we're getting ready to fucking get a drink on and shit. Got to take a piss. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I went back there, and that's when like the itching started. It turned more into like when you have like a very fresh scratch, that like burn sensation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like finally I'm like, I had to fucking check my back. So I remember peeling my fucking shirt up and kind of angling myself into the mirror, and all I could see was these red fucking lines. And I'm like, what the fuck? Instantly got the fucking chills.
Yeah.
Kind of wigged out a little bit. I'm like, holy fuck. So I remember walking out, and to put this into perspective, my fucking roommate Alex at the time is not in any way a believer in anything paranormal.
Right.
And he went on the tour with us. Mm-hmm. And so he was right there with me every step of the fucking way. And so I come out to him, you know, in the fucking hallway, and I'm like, dude, for real, check my fucking back. And so him at the moment, oh yeah, dude, fucking you're fucking scratch this and this, and I peel my shirt up, and from my fucking top of my fucking shoulders down to my fucking waist, kind of like in a slight diagonal fucking way, was 3 fucking scratch marks. 3. And like we're in places where you could see it like broke the fuck, like it slightly broke the skin, where there was like a little bits of blood coming through. And so I'm showing him, and all of a sudden he goes, what the fuck? And I'm like, that's when I kind of freak out. I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa, if he's reacting this way,
what if he's like,
then what the fuck?
Someone wrote their name on your back.
Oh, dude, dude, I don't. And so I instantly kind of fucking froze up. I'm like, holy fucking shit, because I'd like seen some weird shit in my life. Like this was after my fucking Bigfoot. This is after everything. Mm-hmm. But nothing like it's so fucking different when it's like a physical thing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
If you just see something or you just hear something, you're like, oh, whatever. Right. But when you're
line,
like, these motherfuckers fucked with my body, dude.
Right,
like these fuckers
weird.
Got like R. Kelly close to me.
That
you know what I mean? Like,
at least
dude,
they didn't pee on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have taken that better than the scratches. But so I fucking kind of forgot. He takes a picture. I think my buddy at the time, Andy, he calls back and gets a hold of the tour guide. Mm-hmm. And like I do, tracing this back would be damn near impossible. But we ended up sending the picture, like texting the picture to the tour guide to show him. He's like, "Oh, I'll show everybody else." He was stoked about it.
When we go in there,
and I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Whoa, motherfucker!"
Like concerned about your well-being.
I am not the least bit fucking excited. I am 0% excited about this.
Right.
And it fucked with me. Like I never went back since. Like, and that's why when we started this shit and we started talking about it, I looked into kind of like the folkloric stuff about Bobby Mackey's, and they're like, hey, don't go there without your significant other. If you're a woman, don't go there if you're fucking pregnant. Don't go, there's kind of like these weird rules to go in there. And so now we start this shit, and I'm kind of in a fucking predicament because I could take my significant other, but she's fucking pregnant right now. So I'm like,
she would be willing to go.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm in this weird spot. But
what's the? I mean, I guess that's related to the story, right? About the abortion.
Well, the pregnant, and also Bobby Mackey's wife, when she was pregnant, was pushed down a set of stairs while she was pregnant and had to have the baby early.
Well, maybe
so it's this.
Maybe your wife can like hang out in the parking lot.
Yeah, we'll bring her into the lobby, and her and Taylor can just hang out, fucking play Uno in the lobby.
My wife is for sure not down.
So also remind me when we go. I know they keep a book there next where you sign up for the tour of all these different weird pictures and stuff that either people have sent them from on the tours. I fucking
wonder if my shit's in
so
there.
I wonder
I've
if
never fucking been back.
It might be in there.
Do you have to do the tour to see that book? Or
no, you can just walk in and see it.
I mean, you're talking. If I had to put a year on it, I would say like 2010. If I had to put a year, because I know I wasn't with Emily at the time. So yeah, I'm gonna say 2010 is when I had my shit happen at Bobby Mackey's. Right. And I'm sure the places, I mean, you're talking 10 years ago. I'm sure the place has changed since, but
I don't know. I don't know if that place ever changes anymore.
Yeah,
no, it is stayed. It's one of the fucking. It's just that old grungy fucking shithole that everybody loves, dude. I eat that shit up, man. Bar, huh? Love it, dude.
See, what stood out to me with your story is that you talked about seeing that shadow in the back left corner, and I know like when Ghost Adventures went there, they saw it, got it on camera. A shadow in that back.
Was there's like
corner.
Walking though?
Yeah, theirs was more walking.
See, my buddy was like, it was like someone like ran across the wall.
Yeah,
not like literally ran across the wall, but like
a shadow.
The shadow.
So when we were in that room, when Ashley and I went there and took the tour, so we kind of like had our phones and cameras out, just kind of like looking around. And I told Ashley to look back into that back left corner because it was dark, and just something told me like just point it back there. And as soon as she started pointing it back there, her camera just started going like haywire. Ooh. Like it started getting that glitchy look to it. And then it just like the light on it just went off and it closed out of the camera.
The place is fucked, dude. The place is legit. Like
to me, that stood out. Like
as far as places I've ever been that are like kind of known to be haunted in any way, like that place is in a like even the Ghost Adventures dudes. Like they say like they're like that place is one of the top places we've ever been to, and I can totally see why, because out of every place I've ever been, it has like, and it's something like that isn't fucking tangible. It's got a fucking feeling to it. It's got something to it that ain't right. Period. No matter how you want to cut it, it just that place ain't right.
Maybe we should just go down there and have a drink one of these nights.
The other weird part too is like I know I keep referring back to Ghost Adventures, but I've watched that Bobby Mackey's one. So
I love it, dude. Well, they went back. They did it twice.
Yeah.
They went back.
So
I'm not familiar with it.
The first one, I believe it was either Nick or Aaron, because it was when Nick was still on there. He quit in large part because of the Bobby Mackey's one, because Nick had to get an exorcism afterwards.
Holy shit!
Because I think then Aaron lost. Like he claims like his split up with his wife was largely due to kind of like. Because a lot of them, they said that like that they might have like, because that was kind of early on in their thing, so they think they might have like and that's another thing I don't like fucking with is the whole like attachment aspect of shit. Because I do, if you walk into a place and you kind of bring yourself in as an open book, like we don't fucking know what we're doing. We don't know if something can kind of hold on to that or attach to you, come back with you for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because like my wife can even vouch. I don't believe in the Ouija board shit. I really don't. But with that being fucking said, I don't like fucking with it because we had a party one night, got a little fucking tipsy, and I owned a fucking Ouija board. Never really, it was just kind of like, oh, I got one. Never fucked with it. And everyone's like, convinced me to like, let's fucking open it and let's fucking do some shit. Mm-hmm. So we did. And after that, my wife had her first like experience like we kind of had like a semi walk-in closet at our apartment. Mm-hmm. Just a really kind of big, deep closet, and she was like reaching into it or something, and all she describes it as is like this black mass thing. Like she heard movement on the shelf above her.
How long after Bobby Mackey's was this?
Probably about a year.
Okay.
But it looked like something fell from the top shelf, if I'm remembering her story correctly. And she had her arms out, and it went between her arms. And she said it looked kind of like a black dress that was kind of just like in free fall. And when it touched her arms on both sides, it was ice cold. And then she looked down and there was nothing had fell.
Yikes.
So you kind of reached that point, and it was all this weird shit happened after the Ouija board. Like Alex, out of all fucking people, had this. He said he had this dream where, like, he said it was a dream, but he said he kind of woke up and looked up, and on the one wall of his room, he saw like the shadow of a fucking dog just walking in the room.
Whoa.
It's like a black, like, and I'm like, all this. We had like probably 6 or 7 things that happened immediately after the Ouija board within the span of like 2-3 months. Right. And then everything kind of calmed down. So it's one of those things, like, I'm never going to tell you I'm a believer in it. I'm just not. But there's some fucking details with it that just kind of slightly sketchy.
The recording just stopped. Let me start that back up again. Yep. We need to get some video solutions, man.
Yeah. There's gotta be a way to like cut out the like record length limit. Cause that was like one of the issues we ran into with the Sony too.
Yeah, we have to capture it on like a separate device.
Yeah, so like to swing back to Bobby Mackey's real quick, like I was saying, like in Ghost Adventures, one of them walked into that bathroom and they said they just saw a guy standing there in the corner, right? And it like freaked him out. He ran out and then they made him go back in and it was gone. And I always remembered that story. And then I come to find out here like a month or 2 ago when I was talking to Ashley's grandfather that him and his wife used to go in there quite often, being big like country fans. And he said he went into the bathroom and, you know, he's sitting there hitting the head and he turns around. There's this guy just like standing there in the corner staring at him. He's like, and it was weird because like his
checking
clothes.
Out his watch.
Yeah, checking out his watch. Nah, he said like his clothes weren't like period correct, like time period correct.
So a lot of people say that.
And so like this guy was just standing there staring at him, not saying a word, and had this like strangest stare. And he said like it made him feel really uncomfortable and weird, but he didn't think anything of it until he had walked out of there. Yeah. And after they left that night, it kind of dawned on him how strange of an occurrence had just happened.
Yeah.
And then for him, after I told him, like, hey, the guy on Ghost Adventure said he saw, like, down to the description of the guy and everything in the exact spot. I'm like, that makes it really weird. Because her grandpa, I mean, he has no reason to BS me. Former bureau agent, like, real straight shooter guy. And we'll eventually have him on, and we can have him tell you guys the story himself, because I'm sure he can do it better.
That's the thing. Like, the ghost shit is going to be I feel like that's why we try to do the Bigfoot shit first. It's a smaller thing to tackle in reality. The ghost thing is
everyone's having.
Once you get into that, it's just you're jumping into the fucking deep. You're jumping into the ocean of deep ends. It's a totally different monster. So, we're gonna kind of, I guess, just kind of jump around with the shit really and you know, tackle it, I guess, as it comes, you know,
contact by contact base.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to deliver, I guess, the shit in kind of a orderly fashion, but really whatever comes up, and if we gotta go, we gotta go.
Yeah.
You know?
As far as, you know, documenting this with video and stuff, I don't really know what our end goal is exactly. I mean, it's gonna depend a lot on what we find, and the timetable of that could be. We don't know, you know. Yeah. So we're taking it as it comes, but I think it's good we end this with Bobby Mackey's, man, because I think that's I got to check my voicemail and see what our contacts say.
I feel like that's in our near future, regardless of like full investigation or not. I think we're gonna dabble with that no matter what. So you know, also, pretty much
Jody.
Yeah. So the next steps really, the occult shit, we're kind of in the air with. We don't really. Yeah, we're gonna kind of just when that comes to us, we're gonna deal with that. But the Bigfoot thing and the Bobby Mack, the ghost thing, which is mainly Bobby Mack's kind of what we got our sights set on. Right now, it's depending on we're gonna do the Jody interview. I think that'll be something good.
Yeah, maybe we could, depending on where he lives, maybe he'd be interested in coming out or something.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to have him over here and We'll get him.
He's a
right
cool
here to
dude.
talk
He's a
with
cool
us.
dude from what I remember at Soft Fork. Just a real fucking. He's a down to earth dude. He's no bullshit. No, and I believe he's. You might have to edit this out, but I believe he's military as well, former military. So he's a real fucking straight up as is guy. Like no bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're looking for is, we're trying to dodge all the bullshit we can and bring you guys only the shit that like is worth showing. Because we've already, for lack of a better word, encountered some different stuff.
People on the fringes there.
Yeah, so we've already encountered some stuff. So we're really just trying to bring you guys we want it to be unfiltered, but we also want to filter out some of the
save you guys the
unnecessary shit to just.
Unfortunately, with this line of discussion, there comes a certain level of crazies that you talk to, for lack of a better
I
way
would
to
say,
put it.
what was it the other day? I said, not all people that believe in the paranormal are crazy, but all crazy people
believe in the paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, just stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Stay tuned. Keep watching. Share us with your grandma, your grandpa, your auntie, your uncle. Tell everybody.
Yep.
But until next time, keep us in the loop of some weird shit because we're game for it.
Please send us some messages on our social media platforms. Nick, where can they find us?
So you can find us on Facebook at The Threshold Paranormal. You can find us on Snapchat. You're going to want to follow us there. We got that up and going at Snapchat Para. Unfortunately, or not Snapchat Para, Threshold Para. Excuse me. Unfortunately, I couldn't fit all of that in one, so I just kind of So follow us on that because I actually am pretty active. Like when we're out on these investigations, I'm adding to that Snap story. You can follow us live. You can chat with me on there. That'd be a lot of fun. Make sure you send us messages on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube, Threshold Paranormal. And what's our email again? thresholdparanormalpodcast@gmail.com. Yep. Shoot us an email if you have any contacts.
Any stories,
we're huge
anything.
on that.
Yeah. Anything that like even if your fucking place is haunted, if your shed's haunted, if your guinea pig cage might have a guinea pig ghost in it, contact us. We're gonna give you some looks. We're gonna think about you differently, but send that shit in.
If we don't talk about you, then you're probably crazy.
You're probably fucking crazy.
But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is episode 3.
Episode 3.
And we've upped our game a little bit. We got some.
We're moving on up in the world.
Yeah.
We
got our studio coming along now.
So thank you guys. And what do we always say?
Stay spoopy.
Stay spoopy. We've taken you
to
the threshold.
Threshold.
Peace out.
Deuces.